Welcome back to another episode of the Blacklist Podcast. Today, we're excited to introduce Shay Mitchell, a dedicated certified recovery support professional who's not only celebrating over 3 years of sobriety, but also actively shares her journey to inspire others. Shay has cultivated a strong following on her Instagram page at Shay's Not Drinking, where she connects with over 25,000 followers by sharing insights, struggles, and victories in her sobriety journey. Her passion and commitment are centered on helping others achieve a fulfilling life free of alcohol. Join us as Shay opens up about her path to recovery, the impact of her advocacy, and how she uses her experiences to empower others in their own journeys towards sobriety. This episode, along with a host of other inspiring stories, can be found at theblacklistpodcast.com. Without further delay, Shay Mitchell. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Utah, what is going on? Shay Mitchell.
Hey, it's going good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a couple months, hasn't it, since we initially spoke? I think so.
Yeah, you reached out to me a while back, and then
Roughly.
sometimes my messages get lost. So I'm glad that I saw it and we were able to connect. Because I'm excited for a good conversation.
It's a common story that I hear, especially when I reach out to a lot of these creators that have tens of thousands of followers. It's definitely one of those things. Sometimes it takes like 4 or 5 months before somebody actually sees my message, and I have to send like 3 or 4 over the course of the time for them to actually see it. So, but all in all, rest assured, we made it work.
It's working out. I'm happy to finally do this.
How long ago did you start the page?
I started my Instagram page at 126 days sober. And I remember it because that was my first post was 126.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's Instagram's kind of isn't it a hard platform to kind of grow on? I've noticed it almost out of like all the other platforms. Instagram seems to be like the hardest one.
I feel like it's changed a little bit in the last couple of years too. I don't know what they did with their algorithm, but growth is more difficult, at least for me. But yeah, I mean, it's very niche oriented. I think that's what it is. You can really find something in every corner, something for everyone. And the recovery side of Instagram, I think, is getting pretty big and pretty big. Yeah.
It's getting the people to actually like the page or follow it. So like, for instance, we're the biggest on Facebook. Like we have all of our biggest numbers are on Facebook. And then we have, of course, TikTok, which is like the second, and then we have Instagram, which is the third. And it's so hard to get the traction on Instagram. But we had so like one of our guests that we had and this goes to show, before I go into that, this shows the power of the audiences on all the platforms. So we had a guest, Natalie King. She's got like 200 and something thousand followers on TikTok, 2,000 on Facebook. And then on Instagram she had she had like 10,000. And then have you heard of Hunter Michael Shepherd?
No.
Oh, he's another content creator, and anyways, he ended up sharing out one of her TikToks the other day, and it went viral. It blew up, and I woke up this morning and yesterday to like 200 notifications, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I look at it, and it's like 20,000 views on the it was all these things that basically it went viral. She gained like 5,000 followers like over the course of a day and a half, and then our page, and not our page, but our reel ended up blowing up because of that. But even then, and the whole point I'm saying out of all of this is 2 reels for her, one's at now almost 25,000 and the other one's at like 15, 16,000. I think we've gotten maybe like 2 or 3 likes or 2 or 3 follows. And I'm like, so I was telling her earlier, I was like, damn, I was like, out of almost 40,000 views combined between those two,
seeing it,
we can only get the people to actually follow.
I know. It feels a little aggravating, and I've taken a step back because, uh, it did feel like it was growing so much quicker in the beginning, but I changed my handle of my name because my the first handle that I started using, which was Shay Sober, didn't quite fit. And so I changed that about a year ago to
Mm,
just Shay's Not Drinking. And so I think when people are searching, they put in sober, and I think I was coming up a lot more as Shay Sober than I am as just
mm,
Shay's Not Drinking, which that's okay. Like I don't, it's really not about the
right.
followers, except for that I want to reach as many people as as we
Yeah.
can, right? To spread the message. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think their algorithm is just such too that it, yeah, they're also getting rid of all their bots and spam stuff right now. So I
Mm,
feel like they're trying to clean it up, but it's making people feel like they're losing
yeah.
followers, or it's not. I don't know. It's not gaining traction. But
And, like, at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, like, you're right, you are right. It's not about the followers, but it's like a double-edged sword because it's not about the followers. But then you want them because that means you can reach more and more and more people. And so, but for
right,
us, like, I started this thing 2 years ago. I started 2 years ago. It wasn't until this last year that it finally took off. And I've seen the growth over the year, but the thing is, I've had to learn not to get discouraged because I still grind whether I got one video that has 1 view or we got a video that has 1,000 views.
yeah.
And there's sometimes I do look at it and I'm a human, so I look at it and I'm like, damn, like I wish we could be like at this number or at this number. But then I also flip back and say, listen, 50 people saw this video. That means 50 people got a chance to possibly have their lives touched. Then I did the job. We did it.
Yeah,
And that's just the way I look at it. So if in the
absolutely.
process things do blow up to bigger followers, if that's what the universe allows it to be, then so be it.
Oh, I'm all about universe that has it handled.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So you're obviously doing something right.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy it. It was the first place that I felt this like safe to be completely honest about where I was, you know. I felt embraced. Like it was my first community, if sober Instagram. It was a place that I
Mm.
had accountability. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be accountable to these followers if I mess up. Like I'm going to have to tell them." And that was a big motivator, like huge in the beginning especially.
But on the flip side of it too, it's like people people have to realize that us being recovery content creators that like we're gonna mess up. There's things we're gonna say wrong, and that's the one thing that I do see is it's like you have these loyal followers, but then you screw up, and then they're like stabbing you in the eyeball. I cannot believe you said that. I'm unfollowing.
Soon as your opinion doesn't match, it's like,
Yeah,
"You're not who I thought you
exactly.
were, and how dare." It's like,
Yeah,
I'm just human, and, I didn't come on here trying to say that I was the best, and I was the high and
hmm,
mighty, and I know all. This is just my experience, my life, what works
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Take it or leave it, I don't care.
Yep, and that's the way I look
So
at it
much sometimes.
they're just like they're like, "Hold on, like, when did I come on and say that I'm God and that I had it all together?" No, like, I am a screwed up person trying to make it through just like everybody else, and everybody else that does this,
Yeah.
and we're human beings.
I'm a little less screwed up than I was, so I'm trying to
Mhm,
tell you how I got a little less screwed
mhm.
up, that's all. Uh-uh.
Yeah, and then yeah, and then, of course, like how we were talking earlier, I might like I said, there's no strict format, so I might as well just whatever leads into whatever leads in. So, we were talking before,
Yeah.
the other forms of recovery, that's another big one too because people I tell you, like, it's some people you got the old AA style, you're either sober, you're not. Then you have people that are like
Oh,
cannabis,
yeah.
they're plant-based, mushrooms, this and that, and it's just holy crap. You wanna talk about a war path, um, and you got
It within the sobriety within the community,
yeah,
it's like this.
yeah,
Why? We're all just trying to for as far as I can tell, we're all just trying to not drink,
yeah,
right?
or not
Like, can't we just
shove a needle in your arm or not snort a pill or not do or drink
whatever your poison is, you're
yeah,
trying to not do that, and if anything else you need to do to not do that, I say go for it. And anyone that tells me there's only one way, I'm just going to run really, really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've become friends with a couple people, and one Quinn Stone. He's a really good guy, and he's all for cannabis. He what does he do? What does he do, babe? Quinn with the shrooms. Oh, microdoses. He microdoses,
Yeah.
and and different things like that, and now like he's partnered up because he's got like 400 something thousand followers on Facebook and whatnot, and so he partnered up with this sober living place in he's in Utah, Salt Lake City, um,
Really
men's tribal house,
cool.
and they're
Okay.
the first 420 sober living home.
That's awesome. I never stopped
Yeah,
smoking when I quit drinking.
hey, there's
I'm kind like that's my medicine. It really is.
mhm,
So I mean, I absolutely get that. And if I could have gone to recovery where I could have had that
mhm,
available to me, I mean, it was a major tool in my recovery. I have no problem saying that. I've
mhm.
never, yeah, I've people have known that about me for a minute though.
But see, but then it's like he gets
Like I said, whatever you need to do.
yeah, and
I think that's so
he
cool.
gets shit on so much for it, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just because, because of that whole thing, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing this," and anyway, so with you, like you said, that's your medicine. Whatever you need to do.
It
Not
is.
like you're going out, smoking meth or fentanyl or something.
I don't I don't get high from
Yeah,
it. When I smoke, it's an anxiety calmer. I've used it for, aches and pains. Um, yeah, it's very different from what happened when I drank alcohol. Let's put it that way. I'm definitely not ruining my life. I'm not blowing things up, ever. It's
yeah,
always good stuff when I use it.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't even have a reason to justify it, and I think that the narrative is changing. It is just those it's those sticklers to some of those old dogma rules that are just like my way or the highway, and let them have that way if that's what works for them. That's what they need. Let them hold on to that, but keep it to themselves.
yeah, because at the end of the day, we preach it all the time, but there is more than one way to recover. And what works for you might
Yeah.
not work for me, and what works for me not might work for her and him, and vice versa.
And like probably almost a guaranteed chance of that,
Yeah,
right? Like even if we were identical twins, like we wouldn't have the same
yeah,
recoveries. It's just that's not how it goes. It's too individualized. I mean, my husband, he can drink alcohol like a completely normal person. He takes it or leaves it. But you give him pot, he is gone. He's,
mhm,
it's not good for him. So, very different chemistries, different biologies, neurotransmitter pathways that have been built over different parts of our lives, traumas, not traumas. There's just too much that goes into a human experience to say don't do it that way, you other person who is
mm,
not me.
yeah. Do you,
I can't get behind that.
do you get a lot of pushback from people for that personally?
I I I do if I post it online. If I when I'm talking to people in
Yeah,
person, absolutely
right.
not. Because I surround myself with the type of people that are open-minded and that understand that that's completely fine and that I am coming up on 4 years alcohol free and that I my life is completely changed. I am such a better person and I'm still using some other substances, you know? So it's not a problem. It's an enhancement at,
Mm,
as far as what is going on and what I can see, and the people around me that would tell me if there was a problem, what they can see. I very much listen to the people around me now because I do know that I've been in a place where I couldn't trust me
yeah,
when I was at the depths of my drinking, but I do trust me now, and I also trust that the people around me would say something if there was a problem.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. At the end of the day, our walk is our walk. It's nobody
yeah,
else's. It's
absolutely.
ours and ours alone. And like you said, when we do these things, that this is just to show people like this is what worked for us. I'm not saying it's gonna work for
Yeah,
you.
I'm not saying go do it
Yeah,
even.
but
I'm
but
just
but this
saying,
is what works
like,
for us. And at the end of the
yeah,
day, if you can take a piece from my story, take a piece from your story, take a piece from Brianna's story, you could take a piece from and then just make create your own path to recovery.
weave your own little
Yeah,
blanket together of recovery, and
so
yeah,
be it. There you go.
and that's how you do it, I think. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's how people finally get there is when
Mhm.
they just are like, I'm willing to do whatever's gonna work for
Yeah.
me.
Instead of following this cookie cutter program that doesn't work for and I'll be honest with you, like
Not for everyone.
I'm I'm not a AA or NA person. I've been there, but I'm
I'm
not.
not either. I have
I
to.
don't. It just doesn't work for me. But like when I got sober, I went to Celebrate Recovery. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I haven't heard of that one, no, but I'd love to,
it's more of
yeah.
a faith based. It's just more of like it's more in they're held in churches and different things like that. And for me, honestly, that was just something I was just comfortable with. Like I felt more comfortable in going to
Mhm.
a church and going to a recovery group there than I did going to an NA group. But at the end of the day, though, like just because but
To each
again,
their own. Yeah.
to each their yeah. But that's what I did. And that was very crucial, like in the first year of my sobriety, first couple years actually. But not everything that they did was worked for me too. Like it was more of, okay, I'm gonna just take my pieces and weave them in and out. And that's what I did. Um but people think, they oh, I gotta follow Shay 100%. I gotta do exactly what she does. I gotta follow Jared and Brianna 100% what they do. And it's like, nah, because at the end of the day, if you do that, you're probably gonna fall. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how I coach. I feel like I coach people to do it their way, you know?
Yep. That was like childhood. Like how'd you grow up?
So I grew up in a really strict, religious household. I'm in Utah. I don't know if people are familiar with Mormons or
Mm,
the LDS culture, but they have what's called a word of wisdom, and that's basically like how you treat your body. And one of those things is thou shalt not drink
mm,
alcohol. So it was against the religion, but my parents drank. So I saw them drink and have fun on the weekends and have poker parties. And gambling was against the rules too of the church, but they would have gambling, poker parties, and looked like they were having a blast. And then on Sunday, we'd go to church and it was boring and they didn't look like they were having fun. And like, I don't know, it was very convoluted. Like, going and saying not to do this, like all the rules of church, and then doing it, like do as I say, not as I do type shit. It never sat well with me.
okay.
And I stayed a good kid just because that's my personality.
Mm.
Like I was good all the way through until I graduated and got married right after high school, and then that's when I started drinking. So
Yeah, I grew up with
there was some trauma in the childhood, but
I bet. And the thing in that, especially within the church and whatnot, it's like I have some very, very, very close family friends that are LDS and that are Mormon. And
so yeah,
trust me, I lived in their household for a brief period of time. It was, I love them to death. They're amazing people, but they had like 10 kids and lived on a ranch um, but it was definitely interesting. It was interesting.
yeah,
I'm not knocking like I grew up non-denominational, like that's what I grew up. So when I went from that
yeah.
to like going to like a temple, like with them on Sundays, I'm like, it's just really weird. Now I'm not knocking it. Anyone that's listening that's Mormon, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it wasn't for me.
I'm not gonna. Just kidding.
But see, you lived it, you were there. Like I just experienced it from like the outside. I wasn't like
No, I still have family in it. My mom, my brother, and they're amazing, beautiful, lovely people, human beings. It's just we have different faiths and different choices around. that stuff, and that's okay, like, we and I let them have that, and they let me have mine, and we still get together and love each other, and
Yeah.
it's fine.
So essentially, you start. I would assume that you started drinking and acting out because of being forced to live that way.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I wanted to drink from a very young age. The other thing is my dad's a drug addict, so he had a lot of problems with cocaine and pills growing up, so you know, a lot of confusion there and a lot so I was just always knew I'm never gonna do drugs. I'm never gonna do drugs because that's what I saw was like the bad thing. I didn't see like that alcohol was. And then, alcohol was legal. So I knew from a very young age that I would drink. Like I tried to get out of my house as fast as I could to do that, I
Mhm.
think. But I also had some trauma. I was assaulted by a neighbor when I was 11. So some things that were like pushed down that today I'm healed from and was able to do that in recovery. But yeah, I mean, drinking was an escape that I couldn't wait for, and it was everything that I thought it was gonna be as soon as I had that first sip. It was like, "Yeah, this is it. This is it for me." I like it.
So how old were you when you had your first drink?
Um, 19.
Okay, so you did nothing before that at all.
I had, like, 2 gulps of peppermint schnapps from a neighbor one time when I was, like, 12,
Okay,
but I don't remember it, like,
yeah,
affecting me or anything other than that, yeah. So, yeah, I was 19 and I was married to my high school sweetheart.
okay,
Um And so we drove up to a 7-Eleven and had some guy go in and buy us some Bacardi Raz Alka-Pops. Because here in Utah, you can't get liquor except for the liquor store.
okay.
You can only get, like, beer. You can't even get wine at the grocery
Yeah, I
store.
think it's like that in Iowa or Idaho. I think Idaho is like the same.
Yeah, Idaho's our cousin.
Yeah, that makes sense then. So you had to go up there and get your alcohol.
Yeah, so we got some guy to buy us some at a 7-Eleven, and I remember actually having those, they didn't affect me. It was like those fizzy, like like, we called them bitch beers back in the day. It wasn't a beer, it was a fruity beer, seltzer, like the White Claws these days. Um, and it didn't affect me, which was really weird. I was like, "Why?" That should have been my first red flag, I think.
Right. You ever had
The
you ever
3
have you
of
ever
the
had
for my
that
first time ever.
mhm, 3? Jeez. And it never affected you, huh?
Mhm, and it didn't affect me, and so we got one of our buddies to get us some Jaeger after that, and that affected me.
Gotcha. Have you had a Arbor Mist Moscato from, like, Walmart? Like, it's like Walmart wine?
Gosh, that shit. Oh, the headaches from Arbor Mist, I can't even.
Yeah, I wasn't a big drinker, but I could mess with some Arbor Mist, some Moscato, but yeah, it was, just for being Walmart wine, it really did mess you up.
Yeah, yeah. Anything about I mean, at some points, anything
So
cheap when I was that age.
so you graduated to Jaeger, and kinda how did that progress from there?
I mean, that was, like, right away, like, the next weekend. Like, "Okay, that didn't work, let's get something
Yeah.
harder." So, yeah, Jaeger and freaking lemonade chasers. Ugh, gross, that makes me so, like, wanna gag. But it was great. It was warm. I remember it being really warm going down and then really warm in the tummy, and it felt good, and then the inhibitions just kinda everything, you don't care anymore. I was shy. I wanted to be popular, I wanted to be outgoing, but I wasn't, and I think it's because a lot of trauma that happened to me that I wasn't able to heal, but I thought that the alcohol was making me outgoing and, the extrovert that I really wanted to be deep down and that I've since realized I am naturally as long as I'm in a good place, talking to my therapist every month. But so Jaeger and Bacardi for a long time, and that was it was like my college days. I was married to my first husband. I didn't go to college, but we lived in like my grandparents' basement apartment, and everyone came to our house, like 20 people, 30 people every night, and we just drink. for 2 years straight, and then I got divorced from him because my drinking was making me crazy.
So was your husband drinking just as much?
Yeah, but we were so young, and I just thought it was just normal college aged behavior. But a lot of the trauma from my past came up, and so things in the marriage just kind of fell apart. We were really young and not really ready for all that. But I don't think that either of us even knew that I had a problem at that point. Like I was just drinking on the on the weekends or whatever. I had a job, and um, but it was the stuff that was coming up when I was drinking that
Okay.
was a problem.
Did it ever get you in like any legal situations?
That's the one thing that I have never had, luckily, had to deal with. I don't know with how many times I've unfortunately got behind the wheel drunk that I've escaped it, but they have those lists of like signs and symptoms. You might be an alcoholic, and the legal thing's the only one that I don't have to check. Luckily,
I'm right there with you too. I've never by the grace of God, I would never been arrested. I never went to jail. I don't know how. I never did, but so I'm right there with you.
we're lucky.
Very,
I'm glad that I
very,
got.
very.
I'm glad I got to where I did before. Yeah, before that happened, because it was. I was close. It would have happened eventually for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I that marriage ended, and the divorce actually like made my drinking spiral, because also in a religious upbringing, divorce is kind of looked down upon.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I started working at a waitressing job where it was really easy to work, go out and party, sleep all day, work, go out, party, sleep all day. Um, and that cycle kind of happened. And then I met my current husband, who I'm still with today, who saw me through all of my alcoholism. Um, and we've made it through to the other side and are happier than we've ever been today. Yeah.
How was that for him? Like, was it a challenge at a certain point to deal with that?
Well, so we met partying, you know. Yeah, we met partying, but my alcoholism got so bad that by the time I did finally decide to quit, it was like, yes, he was very okay with that. It was very much necessary. I found out in my recovery that he was actually looking for places for just like send me to go live somewhere else because he didn't want me in the house with the kids anymore.
Mm.
Um, just because how much I was, yeah, it was real bad.
Really? What was like? What was kind of like your turning point? What made you realize?
So I got sober in the middle of the lockdown of COVID, or like right after the lockdown of COVID, because long story short, at the end of 2019, I got admitted to the behavioral health unit for suicidal ideations because I was at that point drinking about a handle of whiskey a day.
Mm.
Um, it- and so I went on hold for 72 hours. I got out, and then I stayed sober for about 4.5 months. And then New Year's of 2020 came around, and I decided to drink again. I don't know, because why not? That's my
Mm.
personality. And then we went to through, and then COVID happened, and we had the lockdown in March and April. And here in Utah, like I said, we have the liquor stores, and we were worried that they were going to close with the essential workers, which they never did, because actually it was essential for alcoholics like me that they could get it.
Yeah.
But so we ended up just buying like 40 bottles, and I proceeded to drink one per day, and I was going to the ER in the height of COVID, being too hungover to even move. And yeah, finally, I don't know exactly what happened, but I woke up on May 6th, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't. I'm done. I am done. Like I had to say, like, I am an alcoholic. Like, you have been denying this in every situation. Like, you've been trying to just get around it, but it's let's just face the facts. And I just faced it. It was like, okay. And I didn't even tell my husband. I didn't tell anyone. The first person I told was my therapist, because I had seen her from before with the suicidal stuff, and she had seen me like go back to drinking, and then go back to this. And she was the first person I told, and like was really like, I'm done. And I made the decision, and she helped me get into IOP. And yeah, my husband didn't really know that it was for real, and for like a while until he like saw me not doing it and not really not getting it. Like when we'd go out and everything started opening up and we went to restaurants and I still wasn't drinking and I was adamant about it and I was doing all the things. Nothing, it wasn't going to stick until it was my decision. Let's put it that way. Like everyone was trying to make the decision for me to quit for a decade before. And I would for a month or 2 or 5, but then I'd always go back for
Mm.
whatever reason. So yeah, I always say it is about getting to that place for yourself, for people. If I had a magic pill for that.
So that was kind of like your that basically you were just done at that point.
Yeah, I was so done. I was so sick and it's the cliche. I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was just over myself. I was I couldn't stand living with me anymore, being with me.
Mm.
I couldn't stand me to the point that I knew something drastically had to change.
How was the withdrawals?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like, did you have to go
Bad.
medical
I mean,
withdrawal or no?
I didn't because like I said, I had already gone to the ER
Mm.
twice in the last 2 months at the height of COVID, so my bills were in the thousands of dollars. So I was at this point like I'm not taking any more from my family at this point. Like I'm going to do this. I'm just going to fucking
Mhm.
white knuckle it, and get through it. Not smart probably.
Right.
Please go get help and doctor for that because it can be deadly.
Yes.
But I shook for 20 plus days. I shook so much even on day 20 I couldn't put mascara on or write my name. Like so bad. The night sweats, I mean, for months. Ugh, yeah, withdrawals suck.
Now looking back, do you think you should have went and did a medical detox?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I have a good friend who actually just got sober. She decided to get sober a couple of weeks ago and she went and did this. She checked herself into detox. I was like, go you. She's like, I drove myself. They're like, people don't usually park here. She was like,
Yeah.
that's some real adulting, detox adulting there.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, she went, it was like this luxury detox. They hooked her up and had her in a nice, lovely room and, had her being watched and all the food and everything. But I know that's also, I don't know. Yeah, go to the ER though. If you're having withdrawal symptoms, like I wish I would have it or could
Yeah.
have for sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
just like Shay said, we're not doctors, so go to the hospital. Definitely
go to the
don't try
hospital.
to do it cold
Mm,
turkey.
mm-mm.
Um, how did it feel when you were like once the withdrawals were over and you were able to like see clearly like the first day like how did that feel?
Um, my pink cloud lasted for a long time because I knew it was for real. I knew like this was different than all the other times, and there was many other times. So, I mean, I was on the pink cloud even when I was in the withdrawals. I mean, the minute I made that decision on May 6th that morning, like I knew I was for real and I knew it was different and like a weight was just lifted. It was like, okay, okay, like this is going to be hard, but nothing's going to be hard as what is happening right now. What is happening in my life right now is the hardest. So it's going to be hard, but let's do it. And I think that, I mean, I had nowhere to go but up, literally at that point. So it was just like tiny baby steps making the next right choice every day. And that just kind of, it builds.
How was
It felt great. I,
how was your husband's support through that? Obviously, it was good.
my husband is my biggest supporter. He is such a rock for me. I'm really really lucky because he stuck by. He saw me when I didn't see me, and he was just there to whatever you need. He got I asked him. I told him I needed all the hard liquor out of the house, stuff like that. I was very honest with him about my triggers when they would come up. I would explain, it takes the power away from it if something comes up for me to talk about it and just say, hey, this trigger just came up. This is how I'm feeling. I just got to tell you, and that'll take it away for me. And it did. I think a lot of people are afraid that, oh, if I say this, they're going to think, oh, she had a trigger, she's going to go drink. No, I got to say it to get it out, right? And he was so helpful with that. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense that you'd be triggered right
Mhm.
now. Like, thanks for telling me
Yeah.
or whatever. I had IOP. He was just like, he gave me the time, make sure I could do that. Um, he still supports our family financially. He he's the best. That's all I can say.
Mhm. Yeah, it's good to have, be especially the support, especially through that transition because, at that point, it's just like it just feels you just, like, throw your hands up and you're just like, "I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm gonna do it," and so it's nice that when you have
Mhm.
that person help guide you
It is.
through, kick you in the
It is.
ass when you need it.
Yeah. No, and that's when you get through stuff like that, that's how you know, oh, this probably is for the long haul. And it's cool. It's cool to tell people these days what we've been
Mhm,
through, and and they see how in love we are with each other now. We've been able to do a lot of healing with some different like psychedelic therapy and stuff like that over this last year, and we're together. We're stuck.
mhm.
Can't get apart. It's great.
What kind of, okay, psychedelics are we talking about?
We've done shroom journeys together and also MDMA journeys together.
And see, I've
And
heard they're
it's
really
been
good.
so nice to be able to open up. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we've really been able to talk about some things that I think both of us were afraid to confront with each other or for fear of, hurting the other's feelings or whatnot, but, um, when we do it in that way, we've just really been able to understand each other's point of view in a way that has really healed a decade of turmoil.
I, I've always wanted to, but I'm so much anxiety on it. I'm just like, Jesus.
I was so scared because of my
Mm,
past. And, I think that this is an important caveat to put in. I never tried it before in my life, before I drank or anything. Um, I only ever drank alcohol and smoked weed before. And so when I quit drinking, I just, that's why I said Shay sober, because I did feel sober. Cannabis didn't feel, it was my medicine to me. So,
mm,
but then when I decided to do these other things, I was like, well, I heard Drew Barrymore say a thing once, and I like how she said it. She said, I'm not sober. I do other things, but I don't drink because that's what, that's my thing. That's what's bad for me is drinking. So I don't drink. And that's kind of where I've landed. I don't drink because that is what is bad for me. And my therapist, who, like I said, I've been with for a long time now, I still talk to monthly. I told her about it before I went into it and kind of, explained it. And she was very supportive and understanding, and you know gave me some reasons why it may be helpful. And I felt really supported on in a lot from a lot of angles with it. I did a lot of research about it, and since doing it, I can tell you that it has no pull like alcohol did for me. um, I don't know if that's different for other people and their brain chemistries, but for me, it's not something that I have, like, I need to do it or I even, like, want to do it unless it's for a specific thing.
yeah. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Whereas alcohol is, like, all the time.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, I've have so many people that they're just like it opens up your mind to a whole nother level that you didn't even think existed. Um,
Yeah.
but my anxiety is too high. Like I wouldn't want to trip and do it. And I'm just like, so
Yeah, you don't wanna mess with your brain chemistry, there's a real, like, serotonin syndrome is real. You gotta be careful about what you do, how you do it, where you get it. I mean, fentanyl is in everything out there, so it's so
yeah.
you gotta be smart about all of it, and
Hmm.
yeah, but it's been great for me and my relationship with my husband,
Yeah,
who it'll be 17 years together in
and that's
January,
awesome.
so
And that's awesome. And just like you said it right there, it's been great for me and my relationship with my husband. It might not
yeah,
be for somebody else, but it was for you and for you guys.
yes,
And so this isn't a
yes.
PSA to go out there and do psychedelics, but if you're going to do it, do your research on it. Make sure you go to a reputable place to get it from, and do it responsibly.
Yeah. As with anything, right?
As
I
with
mean,
anything.
I know a lot of people that get in fights on alcohol, and that's some of these other things. I've never seen anyone get all angry or upset or
Yeah.
it's very interesting to me how drugs and alcohol it's all regulated and all that. But I think the more of us that talk about it, hopefully, maybe normalize
Mhm.
it, maybe things will start changing. I don't know.
Did you, did you ever think when you were, like, in the thick of it, did you ever think you were gonna stop drinking? Like, did you
No,
even want
no, that
to?
was like my identity. No, like I it's what I did.
Yeah.
That it's so fascinating that now people know me like my identity is the complete opposite. It's like, oh, Sheree, yeah, oh, she doesn't drink. Yeah,
Did you ever
yeah.
have alcohol poisoning at all?
Not like diagnosed, but I'm sure.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure.
Not where you had to get your
Well,
stomach
like I said, I
pumped?
was drinking a handle a day at the end. It was
Yeah. I don't I don't know how the hell you could do that.
I'm tiny too. I'm 5 foot, under 100 pounds.
And
It's
you're oh, wow, that's
asinine.
even worse.
So
So, alright, so like you said in the beginning, you started the page at, how many days? 100? 120.
126 days. So I'd been going to AA. Like AA is what I was the only thing I knew,
Okay.
right? And that's when I started getting like the dogma and the rules, and I started being a little bit more open about the weed, and I was getting pushed back, and I was like, y'all, like I don't know, it's helping me. I'm just telling you what's working. I'm just giving you I don't know. So around 120 days, around 4 months sober was when I was like, I need something else, and I had started a business. I'd started a spray tanning business when I got sober. I was like, I need something to do. So I was doing an Instagram page for that, and I was really enjoying doing that, making the graphic designs and coming up with little things. I was like, hey, like I can do that for my sobriety,
Mhm.
and that'll that gets the message out there, maybe help motivate some people, keep me accountable, help get a community right in my pocket that is of the algorithm that I want.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so it was right 4 months ish that I started it.
Um, what did you approach your husband with the idea?
No, and I found out like in our last little deep heart to heart conversation that it was actually hard for him in the beginning because he had to confront some jealousies and like some insecurities that he didn't realize or wasn't ready for because I was out there like putting pictures up and having guys comment and send me DMs and he's like, what the
Mm,
hell is going on? And I'm like, who cares? I'm not talking to them.
yeah,
I'm like if they send me a message, I like it,
yeah,
and then move on. It's not. So we were, I don't know, like working through some funny growing pains of relationships with that. Like he loves it now. He
mhm,
doesn't care now.
yeah,
But I also am not like the type to ask permission for something like that because I wasn't doing anything
yeah,
wrong. I was doing all the things right. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It was funny to find out later that he was like, that was really hard for me.
yeah,
I was like, oh,
yeah.
sorry. Like,
My bad.
I didn't know.
No, no, but
Yeah.
and I'll be honest that being a creator and putting yourself out there on the platforms for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to see, and you're getting, yeah, you definitely got to watch yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I've met followers in the wild and that's strange. They're like, are you Shay or my other one? And I'm like, oh my gosh, hi.
Oh,
Like a follower lives in my neighborhood. She found out because we've realized because we have Sundance that comes here every
mhm,
January. And I said I was going to that. And she was like, do you live in my city that I live in? I was like, yeah. And she's like, where? And I told her the neighborhood. And she's like, we're in the same neighborhood. I was like, what
isn't that
is
crazy?
going on? It
Yo,
was crazy.
I remember one time, somebody was asking me, oh, I was at work, and they were asking me about, this was, I think, last year. They were like, "What's the name of your podcast?" And I pulled it up and I sent it to them, and they're like, "Yo, I've listened to this before. Like I've seen you on YouTube before," but they didn't realize like they like listened to like the Spotify
Yeah,
version, but
didn't
they
connect
never
it.
actually, yeah. And they're like, "That's so crazy," you know. And so I think that's about the closest. Or I got a text the other day. My buddy was like, he messaged me, "Yo, I just saw you on YouTube on someone else's podcast," and I was like,
Oh, that's
"Yeah," I
cool.
was like, "Yeah," because I do a
Yeah.
lot of,
It it makes you realize your message is getting out,
yeah,
right? It's like,
yeah,
okay, like that it does. It gives you a little push like, okay, I can keep going. I'll keep doing
mhm,
this. If it's hitting people and it's doing something,
right,
great. That's all I want from
yeah,
it at this point. I mean, it's not about I don't care about alcohol anymore. That does
mhm,
alcohol is a fleeting thought in my mind these
mm,
days unless it gets brought up by someone
mm,
else. Like it's not why I
yeah.
do it. It's not to stay sober anymore. It's
So are you only,
because I feel like we should spread the message.
right, are you only focusing on Instagram, or are you on, like, TikTok and Facebook and all that?
Yeah, I focus on Instagram because it's easy. I'm on Threads. That I got like 1,000 followers yesterday on
So,
Threads.
okay,
So
what is this? What is this?
okay.
I keep seeing it, and I know
It's like the
nothing of
new
what it's about.
Twitter. It's I don't know. It's hard. If it's like sorry, excuse me,
Mm,
I'm still getting over a cold. But it's like Twitter. It's words and people put pictures on there too, but it's connected to Instagram, so it's my same handle over there. Shay's not drinking. But yeah, I think it's just the new thing. I think it's what people are getting on, and so I think that's why I grew that much yesterday.
I
I
keep seeing
don't know.
threads, but I'm like, "What the hell is this shit?" Like, "What do you mean threads?"
Yeah, it's Instagram's version of Twitter,
Interesting.
but
And, you know, I don't, Twitter's the only platform that we're not on. I don't mess with Twitter because I don't know, it's weird. Like, we're on every other
I
platform
never did
but
either.
Twitter. I tried it. We have an account on Twitter, don't get me wrong, we have one. But I was like, "Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
it's,
doing it."
like, not even Twitter anymore. I think it's, like, X or
Yeah,
something, but
X. Yep.
yeah, I don't yeah. I tried TikTok, but I feel like I guess because of how far along I am in my recovery, I just don't need that many places to be posting about recovery content.
Mhm.
Like I'm focused on other things now.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of art. I'm trying to really focus on my art and possibly make that like a
Mhm.
side hustle situation. I'm
Like you said,
yeah. So that's all.
find your niche, you know, and find what works
Find
for,
your platform and
yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like I was saying, like, you know, before, we're on every platform, but Facebook's like our bread and butter. Like that's where we're the biggest on. So now naturally I'm gonna post on Instagram and TikTok, but Facebook's where I'm gonna do most interaction.
Nice. Good to know. I'm over there too. It's still Shay Sober over there because
Oh,
I
you
just
never
didn't
changed
change
it?
it. Just
Did
yeah. But it goes right directly from my Instagram. I don't have to do anything extra. I just click a button that says share to
Yeah,
Facebook too, and then it just goes over there. So
I'm working on that.
that's easy.
I'm working on that. I When I started this, I brought on a co-host, and she attached her Instagram to ours, and she ended up leaving, and we went different ways, but she's like in control of the business thing part of it, and I can't change that
Yeah,
back over. So I'm like trying to
yeah.
figure out how to do
Mm,
that. So I can't connect our Facebook yet to it to do like the whole one click. I have to like get her removed so I can attach it. So in the meantime,
that's
I
obnoxious.
have to
I'm
go to like
sorry.
three different platforms. I have to through three different, you know, I have to copy paste all that good crap.
You need yourself a little virtual assistant at this point.
I Well, that's what Brianna's supposed to do, right, babe?
Oh,
No, she probably don't hear me.
I know it's hard when you work with your significant other because I actually stopped working for my husband at some point because I was like, I can't work with you and love you. Like, I can't do this.
That is funny. You know what? It's yeah, yeah. No. But I like it because I tell you this, I'm not the smartest when it comes to TikTok and Instagram, and she is. She's like, you know, she's got like,
Yeah.
I don't know, 5,000 plus or
She's your
something
tech
like
girl.
that. Like, yeah, like
Like, I'm my husband's tech
she
girl.
knows
We
all
get
that, and I don't.
it.
So I'm like, I don't know a thing about
Yeah.
hashtags. I don't know a thing about, you know, this the you know what you can post, what words you can post, what you can't, what you have to do, emojis. I don't know none of that. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I need your help because I can't do this. And so um she helps me out with a lot of that. So but she's my partner. We do it all, you know.
Yeah. You even each other out on the things
Hmm.
that the other one doesn't have so much isn't so good at.
Yeah.
When you find a good one, that's typically how it works out.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I love it.
So before we wrap up, what is okay, so what do you what is your day to day like? Okay, so obviously you said that you're certified peer recovery, right?
I am. I am. So I got my certification through the state of Utah, and I have been building my online coaching service for way too long. It's called Rebels Against the Bottle. It's ready to launch. I have everything handled. It's registered as a business. All my taxes and all that's handled. Like the banking, my websites. I've been building the website. It's so close and ready to be launched. I haven't hit the button.
Mhm.
But I would like to come 2024. That is the goal. It is still happening. I'm just trying to work out a couple more kinks. But that's going to be one on one, not on demand, but more of like a, schedule tomorrow with, and we can talk for 30 or 60 minutes
Mhm.
about it's more an individualized process. If you need to process some things with someone that's been there, that's been through it,
Okay.
has the experience.
So when this airs, you'll probably have it launched.
Okay, cool. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
2024.
Because people that don't know that are listening right now, it's in December and this is gonna be in Feb
He's
this is
ahead of me.
February. This right now you guys are listening is February.
Yeah, did you know that? It's
It's
February.
February right now, but earlier it was December.
Mm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so
So that'll be rebelsagainstthebottle.com, and I have an Instagram page for that, Rebels Against the Bottle. And then but I'm mostly on my Shay's Not Drinking page.
okay.
That's where you
And
can
that's
reach me
and
best.
we'll put that in the description and we will make sure that
Cool.
everything is linked for them to find you. Um yeah, do you have
Awesome.
anything else? Do you have anything else you want to say?
I don't. This has been a fun conversation. I'm glad that we could just chat, and yeah, it was good just to talk to you. I felt like we were just friends at lunch
And
chatting
that's
about
and that's what we do.
this
That's
stuff.
how
I
we
love
do
it.
this. You know, we
It's good.
some podcasts are 21 questions and this and that. I'm like, no, listen, we just have a conversation about whatever and we just have an authentic conversation and that's generally the way that it goes is the way that it flows.
I loved it. I thought it went great. It was really nice to talk
Yeah,
to you.
thank you. Well, everybody go over to Shay's Not Drinking on Instagram. And then once she has the Rebels Against the Bottle up and running, which hopefully it'll be by this time, um, go and support her there. I know you're crossing your fingers, hopefully that it's gonna happen.
I feel like it has to now. By the time this launches, it'll be my good
I think this is slated to be like the first week of
goal.
February. So if you can get it done by the first week of February, you're good to go.
That'd be kick ass. I'm gonna shoot
There you
for it.
go. Gives you a little bit of motivation. All right. Yeah, but again, if you are listening and watching, go over to Instagram, go show her some love, go give her a like and a follow. And that's going to wrap up another episode of the Blacklist podcast. As always, we hope that today's conversation left you feeling inspired and uplifted. And remember, each one of us has the power to spread hope and positivity in our own unique way. If you've also enjoyed today's episode and would like to be a part of the journey, here's how you can help. Make sure you follow or subscribe on your favorite platform, like and comment. Don't hesitate to leave a comment. Your interactions mean the world to us and they help us reach more people. And share with your friends and family. You never know somebody that could use a little hope and positivity. And again, remember, no matter what life throws your way, there's always a reason to hold on to hope. And until next time, we love you.